Hi there. Got a bit of a different setup here than normal. But welcome everyone to Hapsters album reviews. Working title, I know, but today I'm going to be talking about the very newly released Gorillaz album known as Orange County. I've heard a little bit of it, of the track, and just so you all know, these are my opinions. These are not some objective facts that I'm throwing out and doing whatever with. I'm trying my best here, okay? I just wanted to listen to some music and make a video on it. So I hope you all enjoy it. And if you guys have any thoughts, let me know in the comments, or if you have any theories about what's going to be happening in Gorillaz lore, please let me know, because I know there's a lot of that. So without further ado, I'm going to be moving on to the first track, which is Oh. Okay, so to start with, The Mountain. The intro, it's an intro track. It's honestly probably one of the better Gorillaz intro tracks that I've heard so far. After hearing about this album dropping, I decided I'd go through their entire discography, just one phase after another. So far I'm on to Humans, but haven't quite gotten past that. As of the recording of this video right now, I'll probably be long since past that. But this is probably one of the longer Gorillaz intros to any album, and in my opinion, it's one of the prettier ones, having so much influence from the different artists that they feature on the album, which if I tried to pronounce a single name, I'd probably get canceled, so I'm not going to attempt. However, there is an artist that is featured on The Mountain and is heavily featured all throughout the album. I think they're an instrumentalist named Anushka Shankar. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that, but beautiful, beautiful play. Absolutely amazing little start to our journey throughout, and the outro, in my opinion, feels very sort of like the Beatles. Reminds me a lot of like A Day in the Life, which amazing, honestly amazing. And then we move on to the Moon Cave. The Moon Cave. Also, yes, I've changed my hair since the last time we talked. I just listened to the Moon Cave, and it was honestly fantastic. I was just friggin' bopping to the whole song the entire time. You just kind of get this flow, this kind of vibe, and this beat to it, and it just you can't help yourself from dancing. You can't help yourself from kind of just like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's good. Black Thought's verse at the very end of the track too was absolutely stellar. Right after I heard that track, I decided to immediately look up some Black Thought freestyle, and fantastic. He's a great rapper, and Gorillaz honestly turns me on to some of the best artists, so you know, they're good for that. On to the next song. I am the one to give you life again. This song kind of bangs. It's a jam. It's another absolute vibe in my opinion. Some might disagree, but I think Sparks kind of adds this very sort of John Lennon-like undertone to the song, where you have these underlying vocals, and you have, I'm going to say 2D because I can't remember the actual voice actor's name, but you have 2D's vocals going over top, actually singing the main melody, and then you have Sparks just sort of sprinkling in his higher pitches as you go along, and toward the end you get this really pretty build up from 2D and Sparks' vocals, and I think it just kind of adds to this Beatles feel that the album already has established with the very first track, as sort of an interlude would sound within a Beatles soundtrack as well, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, absolutely lovely song. This is definitely one that I'm just going to be playing on its own for a while. Oh yeah, onto the... You know the hardest thing is... The hardest thing. Another interlude... What? Another interlude track that feels very vibrant in its soundscape. Super beautiful building melodies on top of this sort of orchestral thing that they super play with, and it's absolutely beautiful as it goes on. It almost feels like another Elton John collab without Elton John, and I don't know how they do it, but it builds up into this track. I feel needs no introduction. Orange County, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful tracks on this album. Just from pure vibes alone, I'm gonna be whistling that like main sort of motif throughout like this next week, probably these next few months, honestly. This little song did just wonders for me going into this album. Really kind of sparked my musical love again, and it was a fun listen just in general. Whenever I first heard it before the album even dropped, it got me really excited to hear what the rest of this album would be, and getting the interlude from the hardest thing into Orange County, which has that primary motif that I associated very hard with the hardest thing. It's beautiful lead up, beautiful follow through with that. Honestly, I was even considering just joining the two together in this segment, but I decided they kind of just needed their own little pieces, and those two being sort of the shortest songs on the album, it would have made a little more sense, but I think it also makes sense to do it like this. So yeah, that's the hardest thing. And now we're on to I went to the liquor store. The God of Lying kind of encapsulates what I remember the Gorillaz to be whenever I was growing up and whenever they first started putting out music. And that's like a vaguely scary band. A band that if you listened to when you were like 7, it would just kind of haunt your dreams just a little bit. Like whatever dream about any kind of bad thing you can dream about, just underscoring that it's a Gorillaz track. And this one specifically would definitely fit that mold. But The God of Lying is a fantastic track. Another good one. One that I could see myself listening to just in my free time, but also I don't know how much of that I scare children vibe I want to give off, so we'll see. But good track at the end of the day. On to the next track. I need you on my team. Vision is distorted. The Empty Dream Machine is another banger, another hit. Just another good vibes, another bop song. It starts off very sort of airy, very dreamy, as the song implies, or as the song title implies, and then it builds into a more electric kind of style, sort of EDM-ish, I'd say, with more focus of auto-tune voice on 2D, David Albarn, whatever you want to say. Another excellent track, in my opinion. Black Thought did excellent as well. So did Johnny Marr. Those two, as always. And I'm pretty sure Anushka Shankar was also on that track. So those three, fantastic job. Gorillaz, fantastic job. Please continue what you're doing. I can't rap or speak Spanish, so enjoy this. Okay, so we've just reached through the midway point of the album. The manifesto is honestly great at, I think, bridging this gap of our in-between phase. It's the longest song on the album. It is 7 minutes and 20 seconds. It is a time investment in terms of music, but man, is it worth it in every aspect. Trudeau and Proof both were collaborators on this song, and they did wonderfully. The whole backing track really complemented their sound and their style, and overall it's a fun song. It's so fun to get down to and just enjoy. I could see myself dancing to that anywhere. Like if I just have an earbud in, I could see myself just being in the middle of the grocery store and just like starting to get down. That's why the whole transition to this one is just me dancing. It's great. It's a great song. On to the next one. Into the eyes. The Plastic Guru is... it's alright. It's honestly not my favorite track on the album. There's a lot of really good tracks on the album, and while I think Johnny Marr did excellent, I think Anushka Shankar also did excellent. I simply think that there were better tracks that they did on there. We need a couple of ones that aren't my favorite, but Plastic Guru didn't quite meet my expectations from a song titling perspective. Just honestly, I was expecting a little more sort of tie-in to a lot of fake gurus coming about nowadays, and I believe that they did kind of touch on that, but it wasn't quite to the extent that I was expecting. So just didn't meet my excitement as much. So Plastic Gurus, and another excellent song. Probably just not one that I'm going to be consistently playing throughout this next year. On to the next song. Delirium. Delirium sort of starts with this like biblical feeling, with this like church choir background as Tootie sings over this melodic chorus of angels and beautiful people, and I don't know, amazing people are singing. Then it just goes. It just leaves you. It goes from this really sweet, kind of almost gentle, a little intimidating kind of piece that just kind of lords over you into this funky, almost like disco EDM type thing, something that I think that I would hear in a rave or something. Another good one. This is going on my plays this year for sure. Delirium is, I think, gonna be an underlooked gem of this album. So if you guys haven't heard that one yet, totally recommend. On to the next one.
Top dial on your radio. DA in the place, you're so fresh.
The track entitled Damascus is another certified bop. I know. Thank you. Damascus is another good one. It draws back to the Indian roots that the Mountain had and kind of introduced and showed this sort of subtext throughout, but it really brings it back. And the two featured artists on this track in Omar Soliman and, excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Yassine Bey. Phenomenal. It starts off bringing us back to the original Indian feel, and then it gets really bouncy as Omar Soliman just starts going ham on the track, and then Yassine Bey comes in and starts speaking in his native language, which if we get a translation for that, I would love to understand what he's saying, because I'm not multilingual like that. I wish I was, but the track just bangs the entire time, and it's another good one that I'm definitely going to be listening to. Damascus was actually one of the ones that I was most excited about upon hearing the namesakes of every song on this album. So it got me really excited whenever I first heard that, and I got to just get all jumpy and listen to it. So I hope you guys enjoy it too. And on to the next track.
The light of the shadowy light.
So Shadowy Light is another pretty alright track. It's honestly not my favorite. There is a ton of musical collaboration on that, features if you will. And with that being said, the soundscape is excellent. It feels like I'm being sung to by the same choir that was in Empty Dream Machine. And you know, it feels like I am in a completely different Gorillaz world, as opposed to whenever we were in, say, Demon Days. The different musical influences as a result are just really coming through on every single track. Not just this one, but this one you can really tell with how much collaboration they chose to go with on this. So that shadowy light. On to the next one. I don't know anything. Casablanca kind of breaks my heart in the best way possible. It's almost like they took the energy that Lord Huron and Steven Sanchez has, and they just channeled it all into a song. And every repressed memory from when I was 14 is just getting shoved in at me, and I'm like, why? Genuinely, this feels like a slow dance song that they're gonna play for a future, like, homecoming or court warmings or proms or whatever the hell they have nowadays. And honestly, this feels like a song that I would definitely have played at my wedding whenever I marry my girlfriend. So honestly, it's another little beautiful song. It also features Johnny Marr again. It has this guy named, I think it's Paul Simonon, something like that. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong, but please let me know in the comments on how to pronounce that. But yeah, on to the next song. Sweet Prince, don't be sad. Oh man, the Sweet Prince. It's just, wow. I didn't think that this album could get any better, but boy, was I wrong, and I'm so glad about that. Going from Casablanca, a really beautiful track, into The Sweet Prince is fantastic. It's a fantastic listening experience, and you know, where the entire album is so high energy, I wasn't expecting such an acoustically heavy piece of the album to just be dropped at the very, very tail end of it. And I was just stoked, because honestly, this felt almost like a Blackbird in terms of musical recognition for me. Like, between, if I were to compare them to the Beatles, it would probably be about on par with that in terms of how I view it, how I listen to it, and what is something that I find enjoyable and listenable, which Blackbird just kind of hits all those marks, and so did this song. And in comparing those two, I really hope that this one just gets the recognition that it deserves, and I'm really hoping that this whole album just gets the recognition that it deserves. So on to our final song for this album review. This one. I gave you love to fill. Last but certainly not least, The Sad God. What did I think of this track? Honestly, like, my dog just sighing over there wasn't too bad. I think that it tied the entire album together very well. We had another feature of Black Thought, had another feature of Anushka Shankar, and Ajay Prasanna, and those last two, Anushka Shankar and Ajay Prasanna, have been killing every single track that they've been on, which is the majority of this Gorillaz track. So I'm really hoping that whenever Gorillaz does go on tour with this album, they bring those two along with them at the very least. I would love to see Truno. I would love to see Black Thought. I would love to see Johnny Marr. I would love to see just all those guys touring with the Gorillaz. I think that would be fantastic. But I think I'm going to move on to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on this album are that it's really good. It's probably one of the best albums I've seen as of recent, or listened to as of recent. I think that over time, music has sort of evolved to be this overly bumpy thing in order to continue to gain traction, gain views, and gain followers into music. However, I think Gorillaz did quite excellent with how they took it from the start, being this India-based album, and kind of moved throughout their own musical influences, as opposed to attempting to just full-on adopt like an Indian style. They had people on hand, obviously, to help them encapsulate that style of music, but they truly made it their own in this album, and I think that a lot of it kind of made it feel almost like a Beatles resurgence album almost, and that just felt really good to me. That was probably one of the best look backs on music history that I've seen in terms of an album, regardless, because we went from very sort of EDM electric kind of poppy stuff, or not even pop stuff. Actually, yeah, I guess it was kind of pop stuff. A little bit of R&B, a little bit of rap, and then we started transitioning into a lot slower stuff. We had Casablanca, and we had Delirium, and we had ones after that, which I'm not remembering at the moment, which also in their own right had their own sort of flow to them that in some aspects wouldn't seem like they would mesh with the album, but whenever you hear everything in conjunction with itself, you really do need those 2 songs of palate cleanser to get you ready for that last one. And honestly, that last one kind of ties it all up in a nice little bow with this almost sort of 50s style bass line going over top of this of more of the Indian style music. And I think it's just beautiful how they translate it all and they put it all together, and I think that this was probably one of my favorite albums that are going to be coming out for this year. I'm definitely going to be listening to a lot of the tracks from this album. So if you guys had any of the same thoughts that I did, please let me know in the comments below, or if you have any differing ideas or just general thoughts on this album, please, I would love to hear them. I want to hear as much analysis about this album as possible. I want to see how much craze is getting driven up by this, because it's fantastic, and I am really excited to see these animations going through. Hi, cat. But if you guys have any suggestions, if you guys have any other album suggestions, please leave them down in the comments below, and let me know if you guys want to see more of this by hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, and I will see you all in the next video. Until next time, my name is Hapsters. Bye bye.